he's the founder and the CEO of that organization, and he still talks about leading with love. He talks about putting in the hard work and also the heart work. He talks about making a difference and leading by example. So guys, you're going to have an incredible 20 minutes here. I want you to absolutely enjoy it. I'm going to come back after he speaks, and we will wrap it up today, and we'll start off again tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. because we're then going to go next door and wrap it up, and then we're going to take a break and go into our gala dinner. But guys, bring the energy. Send out the link. Let's light it up on here for the last session. Let's bring up Armand Puyolt. Thank you very much.
Yeah!
I want to see sevens and say, yes, I'm here. I want to see fire. I see, yes, I'm here. Why? Because what's going on today is going to be something that's going to change your life forever. One of the things that I need to tell you is this. I started growing the business when I lost hope. When I lost hope, everything started changing. And how did it start changing? It started changing in many, many ways. For example, how did I lose hope first? I was living with a single mom. I was living out of a car sometimes. We were living from apartment to apartment to apartment to apartment. I lost hope. I started losing hope in having friends. I started losing hope in living a life. I started losing hope in a lot of different things. But guess what happened, my friends? One thing, when you lose hope, you hit rock bottom, you bounce. And when I bounced, I figured out something. We can do something that's going to be able to change your lifestyle forever. You're going to be able to do something that's going to change the perspective of how life is. See, one of the things that happened, especially having a life that was poor, was that I needed to figure out how to help my mom. School did not matter anymore. I didn't graduate from high school. Why? Because I needed to make money. I needed to find out how to make money now, how to make money today. Not a year from now, not 2 years from now, not a century from now. I needed money. When do you need money? Now. See, one of the things that happened to me at that point is that I started selling candy from my backpack in school. It was illegal in school at that time. In the 90s, candies in California was illegal to sell. Soda pop was illegal to sell. But I was selling all the candies that people loved at that time. There wasn't such a large selection as now, but yes. And guess what I was doing? I was buying these candies for 16 cents a pop in the box, and I was selling them for $1. Guess what? As soon as I started selling all these candies, I figured out one thing. I love being an entrepreneur. I love being a person that was able to control the situation. I love to be the person that loved to grow and help pay the rent and help do a lot of different things. So I started being intrigued with business. Guess what? Business started being my sport. I played football, I played baseball, I played basketball, I played just about every sport that I could in school, but this became my sport. Now, a lot of you who don't know, a lot of things can happen along the way. So, there was 2 times I lost hope. That was one time. I started building a business. I found a network marketing business when I was 16. I didn't know what I was doing. But guess what happened? I figured it out. How did I figure it out? I started to shadow the person that was making money in my organization. Well, actually, above me in the organization. One time, one guy, because I don't know if you guys know, I'm old enough to remember this. You guys, I know you're all youngins there, sitting there, listening to this. But back then, we didn't have the luxury that you have with the back office online. You can see your downline and everything else. I had the luxury of a fax machine. In that fax machine, you punch in the numbers, and then it spits out all these pages and pages and pages and pages, and you figure out how much, or who's in your downline, what's in your downline, how much money you're going to make, and everything else. And you have that, you read it, you have a whiteboard, you started doing your tree on the whiteboard to figure out how your tree looks. See, those are the things that started happening with me. Now, I thought I wasn't good. I thought I was making some money. I was enjoying. By the age I was 18, guess what happened? I bought my mom's her first house. So I was doing pretty well. But guess what happened? I had a gentleman who was an upline of mine. And I saw his fax with all these papers. And he said, man, he showed me what he was making. And it was about 20 grand. And I said, 20 grand, that's incredible money. I didn't believe people can make 20 grand in this industry. I did it. So what did I do? I picked up his bag and started shadowing him. And I was the guy who, was the flip chart man, turned the flip chart. I guess there was no PowerPoint back then like the one you see now. But it was pages, like a big giant book, and he was flipping, and I was flipping, and I was flipping all this stuff. And I was pointing with a stick, whatever he was saying. But guess what happened? One thing happened was that I learned, meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting, that he was saying a script, word verbatim, word by word, same jokes, same bad jokes, and everything he was saying was the exact same thing every single time. So I got that. And you know how you have a child, I don't know, a lot of your parents, you know how a child, you sit up in front of the TV, they watch the same movie, the same movie, the same movie, the same movie, to the point that you're washing dishes somewhere in another room, and you're listening to, you can already see the images and everything, and you know the next word and everything else, right? Same thing. I started memorizing every single word he said. I got the courage to say, okay, let me get my group together, we're gonna rent a hotel room, and we're gonna do a presentation. And guess what happened on that situation? I got my guy to flip the charts and flip the charts and flip the charts and flip the charts, and guess what started happening? One thing that started happening was this, which was powerful, my friends, was that I said verbatim every single word this guy said. And when I said every single word, guess what happened to me? I closed the room. Everybody who was in the room signed up, just like with him. I even said the same bad joke, and everybody laughed. I even said my name was Sean. That was his name, not mine. But I was following everything. I was trying to do the T, and I figured out it worked. Duplication works. So I started growing in network marketing a little bit. Guess what? I started earning 20 grand a month. 20 grand a month. And guess what happened to me? I started saying, I hit the top of the company. He makes 20 grand, I make 20 grand. That must be it. And then we went to a convention where I suggest every single one of you should be at your convention. Don't miss a convention. Drive to the convention. I don't care what you gotta do, but you gotta be at your convention. But see, one of the things that happened, I went to a convention and I met his upline. And she asked me, how are you doing? And I said, hey, I hit the top of the company. I'm doing 20 grand a month. And she tells me, basically, 20 grand? I do 80. And she showed me her checks. And as she's showing me her checks, guess what I'm saying? I'm saying one thing. Where do you live? She said, Provo, Utah. Guess where I was that next day? I was in Provo, Utah, carrying her bags, being the flip chart man again, doing everything else, trying to figure out what she was doing. Because here's the thing, my friends. You want to make it big in network marketing? You got to do one thing. You got to duplicate yourself every single time. You got to duplicate the person who's making money. Shadow people who's making money. Duplicate what they're doing. See, a lot of you who are sitting here, I'm telling you right now, you're going like, I wish I was big. I wish I was doing something. I wish I can do it. I wish. But guess what happens, my friends? You don't do. You think you do, but you don't. So one of the things that we have to do is learn to take things and start moving forward. And take things and start growing forward. Why? Because every time you do that, you're going to end up looking at progression within your team. See, by the age of 20, I was doing 7 figures a year. By the age of 25, I was doing over $5 million a year. Soon after, I was doing 12.5 million a year. How did we do this? Okay? Because we kept growing, and we're keeping growing still to the day. We did this because there's effort involved in everything you do. There is no excuses, because I know you already know what to do in your network marketing company. I know you already know how to move the plan. I know you know what you're being taught already. But what is the difference? We don't do it. We don't work. We make excuses. And sometimes, you gotta understand this, that is very, very important, is that we have to understand that we must make a sacrifice to change our lives forever. See, I don't know about you, but my life is not about changing tremendously. My life is about changing as many people as possible, even if it's just a little. See, my mission in network marketing is how many people can we get to put food on the table around the world? Maybe areas. See, I've done presentations where there's only sand on the floor inside the house. And it doesn't matter. People go like, you are in giant industry, you're going to get killed, you're going to do this. Guess what? The mission is helping as many people be able to make some money. How much money? It all differs between people, obviously. But what do you got to do? You got to help somebody make a little bit of money where they can put some shoes on their kid, they can go to school, they can change their life. That's changing the life from every family that you touch. If you can do that, things will change. But you got to learn to go out there and do it. Now, your neighborhood may have a lot of people like this. See, I told you, my life changed the day I lost hope. I lost hope one more time. One day I fell on my kitchen floor in 2010 in February. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was 425 pounds back then. You know, I was huge. And I thought this was it. I was taken by ambulance to the hospital to figure out that I did not and I was not having a heart attack. Now, what was I having? I was having an issue that I had two malicious tumors between my heart and my lung. That's what I was feeling. That was the pain. Because I was breathing deep. I was angry probably. And then, it was beating against my heart. But that wasn't the worst of it. Because of what I had, I was diabetic. Because what I had high blood pressure. Because what I had, I had a lot of different issues around me. But the worst of it, they said, you have gastric cancer phase 4. When they said I had gastric cancer phase 4, they said you have 6 months more of life left. This was February of 2010. They said, your life is basically over. We may be able to give you an extra year if we do chemo, we do therapy, we do a lot of different things. We do radiation. But then my mind started going, my mind started moving, my mind started saying, what in the heck am I going to do? What in the heck am I going to do? Why? Because I had just invested all my money into a company that I was building. I had just done everything. I didn't have nothing to my name but my house, my things that I had. I was a single dad at that point of 2 kids. And guess what happened? I was like, if you were told today that you had 6 months more of life left, what would you do different today? See, you already know what to do. You already know what you're supposed to do or not, but you don't do it. But if you had 6 months more of life left, would you do it then? If your kids depended on it. I did not want to leave my kids with nothing. I lost hope completely. But at that moment, God gave me some words. And I walked out of that hospital. I didn't care how I was. And I told myself, whatever it is, I said, the company had not started. I said, I'm going to do whatever I can to grow a residual income in the next 6 months, so when I do pass, my kids will have money the rest of their life. I'm going to build an organization that is going to be massive enough that my kids will have something for the rest of their life. And guess what happened, my friends? I got up, I went door to door, I sold product with no, it had no packaging whatsoever. And I sold product because I had to sell it. I moved things, I did things I needed to do, whatever. I didn't even fall asleep. See, I learned not to sleep much. People ask me, hey Armand, I heard you sleep like 3-4 hours a day. Yes, I learned not to sleep much no more. Why? Because I was so scared to fall asleep that time. For those years, I was so afraid to go to sleep because if I fell asleep, would I get up the next day? And I still had things to do. How do you feel? Do you have things to accomplish? What about something happens to you? See, it went 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. On the 6th month, I had circled on a calendar that I was going to die. I was so scared of that day. That was probably the worst feeling of my life. Knowing how do I say goodbye, not only to my kids, but to the person I love, to the family that was getting put together. My wife at that point, she was a medicinal doctor, she was the girlfriend at that point, and she started making all these, plant-based stuff because that's what she loved to do. And she goes, "You're not going to die." Since the first day, "You're not going to die. You're not going to die." She started making this stuff. And then along the way, as I'm working, trying to survive, trying to make something happen, guess what happened? She starts spoon-feeding me this, spoon-feeding me, spoon-feeding. Along the way, I don't know what happened. I started losing weight, lost 100 pounds, lost more. People were looking at me saying, "What's going on? This is fantastic." I was feeling with energy. I was moving around. I didn't know what's going on. 6 months went by. I was alive. 7 months, I was alive. A year later, I was alive. My wife goes, "Let's go to the doctor, find out what's happening." I was like, no. I was so scared of going to the doctor. I thought, if I go to the doctor, would he tell me that I'm supposed to be dead and might as well do something, cut me or something up? That's what I was thinking. I was like, I don't know. But guess what? I told myself I didn't want to go. And I kept working, building one of the largest organizations I've ever built. 2015, that's 5 years later, in March, I finally got the guts to go to the doctor. And when I went to the doctor, guess what happened, my friends? Guess what happened? The doctor looked at my file, he looked and he said, "This is not you. Somebody made a mistake. First of all, the weight, diabetes, all this stuff was in here. You don't have these. What happened?" He goes, "If it's not me, fantastic." It was a relief. But yet he decided to do a full body scan. And guess what happened there? They did this full body scan and they figured out the only reason they knew it was me because they still had scar tissue where the gastric cancer was. This brought a non-believer of the health and wellness industry, which I was, to becoming a full-fledged believer. What happens from that moment on, I started pushing to make sure things happen, pushing to help a lot more people, pushing to grow a business. When I couldn't get what I wanted, guess what happened, my friends? I built a company to push products, to push whatever I needed to push to help more people. And I had the blessing, my friends, of having a major quantities of people acknowledge who I was and follow me into this venture of the company we hold right now. But it all started with one thing. It started by me saying, I lost hope. God, what would I do? How do I fight back into the world? What am I going to do? And the only thing I could imagine was fight, was work. See, I want to put this in your mind right now. When you are a person that you have problems, it could be economic problems, what do you need to do? You have the solution, you're sitting on it, you work. You have issues, you owe money. How do you solve that? You work. You have relationship problems. You have issues within your relationship. You're almost getting divorced. You're going to be hurt. What do? You work. In this world, you can resolve every single issue you have by working. If there's money coming in, there is no relationship problem. If there's money coming in, there is no other issues like rent. There's no other issues like where did I tell my kids. There's no other issues for you to be in this world. My friends, I want to ask you this last question before I go. If you had 6 months more of life, what would you do? Because I'm telling you one thing, the more you work, the more your children see you work, even if you think you're not making money, but they see you as an entrepreneur, guess what's going to happen? It's going to change the lifeline of every single child you have, of everybody who's watching you at this moment. Why? Because your child will never want to work for somebody again. He's going to want to be an entrepreneur like you are. It is the time. It is the moment. It is you at this moment that needs to change. So the challenge is, what would you do different that you're doing right now if you had 6 months more of life left? Whatever it is, start working. Working every day. Start working every day. Guys, guess what's going to happen? Your life, your children's life, your family's life will change forever. God bless you. We'll talk to you guys soon.